في بلاد تكاد تكون مجردة من كل شيء إلا البحر، لم تكن الغلبة إلا للماء المالح، يوزع المصائر ويقرر سنوات القحط والوفرة، وهي كانت تشعر بالجوع، جوع مستدام ولا تشبع، تشعر بالعطش ولا ترتوي، نجلاء المنساقة إلى قدر النقص الأزلي، رغم أنها الوحيدة من بنات الحي التي جاءت بغمازة زائدة. My name is Salha Obaid. I came from UAE, and I do writing as usual, and I also do engineering. Okay, I think the best thing about being a writer there is the observation part, because you will have a lot to observe, since it's a country, it's kind of a cosmopolitan country where a lot of people are coming from all over the world. Actually, yeah, because it's form of, you know, the soft power. Every nation in the world has it. They need to know how they can, you know, move it around and make it powerful and effective. And with a smaller place like the UAE, it's very important, because people from all over the world are knowing a lot about, for example, Dubai as the biggest city with from the building and etc. But nobody is knowing anything about the people there. How do they think? How do they live? And without the state like initiating something that is powerful, that will help the writer to find a voice and to talk to the others from all over the world, this will not, you know, the UAE will not exist as a human, you know, place or humanated place. It will be always a place with the buildings. So it's important. But on the other hand, this kind of, you know, support need to not be affected with the freedom of speech of the writers. So they need to write whatever they want, and they will, you know, they need to understand that when they are writing this, even if they are under an initiative, they are not serving the propaganda. So somehow, some way, it's a tricky thing, but I think the government are doing well until now in the UAE. And I don't know how the future will be, but there are a lot of good initiatives, like back and forth. Like they are also like welcoming a lot of people and making, giving grants and etc. to help people from all over the world also to come to the UAE and to observe the people there and to produce art or literature. Actually, it's a very recent book, and the reason that I'm talking about this book, this story that happened before 2 weeks when I was in New York. I was in Harlem, and I went there because I wanted, you know, to capture, you know, the places of James Baldwin, because I'm a fan of him, and it distracted me a lot because I felt that I was drained there. I felt that there is a lot of sadness there, and you know, I felt, I catched myself feeling guilty because what I'm doing there with, you know, my fancy camera, and you know, while people there are still suffering and the things is kind of still the same, it's not the picture that I thought that I found there. And I felt that the things that James Baldwin was talking about is still there, the suffering is still there somehow, some way. And after that, I was putting a plan for myself to go to Guggenheim, New York. And it was like just half an hour by walking. And there was an exhibition for the Lebanese American poet and artist Etil Adnan. I remember entering there, and it was totally different thing, because Etil has this, you know, powerful drawings with a lot of colorful things. Even that he was talking about war, for example, even though that he was talking, you know, about feeling distracted or feeling sad. And I remember sitting, and I felt that Etil was there somehow, some way with me. And I loved how the sea was all over in his, you know, in her painting. and she passed away just 2 weeks after that, like a couple days ago. And I remember that point, and I remembered how she made me felt that you can also be sad and you can express the thing in most powerful and colorful way. Um, from that point, I tried to find what was her latest work or what was her latest book, and I found a book called Shifting the Silence. She wrote it during the pandemic in Paris, 2020, while she was 95. And this is for me was inspiring because I always has this question inside of me, until when I will keep writing. And she was writing until her 95, and she was, capturing and still observing and still very enthusiastic about what is happening inside her and outside of her. So yeah, this is an amazing book, and she's trying this book to break up the silence and the art and the poets she's writing, and even her personality towards the world. And she's talking about the pandemic in a very small part, but it's very interesting because even when the pandemic was all over, the world, and even in it's near to her, she keeps seeing the oceans and the art and writing about this and breaking the silence in just such a different way. So it's an amazing book. Okay, there is something like there is dates from UAE. I brought it with me, dates, and and I remember this is the first thing I put it inside my bag because I love dates, and it's a thing that I always carry it with me whenever I'm traveling because it giving me the taste of my country inside of my mouth all the time. So there are a lot of boxes of dates and books, of course. But I I don't like my desk to be not organized because then I start losing control. So so I brought this basket where I'm putting the books like a small library, or and then there is also pens and my laptop. It's hanging there sometimes, but I noticed that, and this is the thing I carried with me from my hometown, that I cannot write in the place that I'm sleeping in. I cannot do that. So usually I do the writing outside. So I organize the thing to prepare, me for writing, or to just write note and ideas. But the main, creation of writing is happening outside in the cafes, or yeah, on an open place. Actually, when I was when I got this opportunity, I put this in my mind that the United States, as I pictured it, and as I read about it somehow, some way from the news and etc., will not um, will not be very different from the UAE regarding the capitalism part, with the buildings and etc. Um, and when I reached Iowa, and with a lot of differences and people coming from all over the world. And when I reached Iowa, I just noticed the thing is different. Like there is a lot of familiar thing, and you need to, make a very big effort to notice the differences. You need to talk to the people. You need to start observing a lot to understand the differences between one another. That, okay, maybe they look familiar, they think are looking familiar, but they are still different. And this is an interesting thing because now, for example, in UAE, or even in the big places, I think in the US, it's very easy to observe the differences, but it's not really the right differences, because what make you different than me is how we are thinking from inside. And I won't have this opportunity if I didn't sit with you and talked with you and share the ideas and have that good conflict we need to have. But and this is very easy when, and it was very difficult in the big places, because you will just notice the differences from outside. Oh, this is different, and he's different, and etc. But when you are in a place that is very familiar, you need to make an effort, and you will learn that this is the right thing, of the right way of observation, and trying to notice how people are different and how the places are different and varies from one point to another. I'm thrilled because I just finished my novel a couple days ago. So I feel that, as an engineer's perspective, that I did my duty. So I'm happy with that. And yeah, I'm really happy for being here. Like, it's just a different experience for me, although that I travel a lot, but this is different, and I know that it will affect my writing skill many years coming.